Statesman Nation, here with Jenny Carlson as we preview the 2017 volleyball season. Coach, you guys just came off the scrimmage yesterday, so you got to see at least what you could look like against another team, but a couple weeks into practice. Let's talk about preseason real quick, then we can review last year, and then we can get into this year, but talk about preseason a little bit.
Okay, so preseason, we've been here since August 7th was our first actual practice date. The girls did a little bit of testing and boot camp and that leading into it, so it was good to kind of get them together off the volleyball court and start gelling. So that was a good start. If you go back, obviously the big change happened last spring, winter, when we really started working on team culture and getting the returners on the same page and creating that strong bond, buying into the program to then have the tone set when the new kids, showed up. So as far as like team goes and getting along, I mean, that's a huge hurdle that you deal with. And I think we have, for the most part, passed that one. So that was a huge, take the volleyball skill out of it. We have to get on the same page. So we're headed in the right direction there. Preseason's a lot of practice, a lot of playing, a lot of with your team bonding in there. But I also wanted to kind of back off a little bit this year, only because we play on Friday, and the younger version coach of me was like practice, reps. But now I think we kind of went with the flow of things and kind of what needs to be fixed. I can't fix 25 things in 2 weeks. How are we going to be able to play and compete in 2 weeks? So that was more my goal of things. We played a lot because I think that's where you see a lot of stuff. And I'm a big believer, yes, you have to do the fundamental things, but at the same time, you can't create what happens in volleyball, in drills. Volleyball's a game of, in-system, out-of-system mistakes, playing touches that you can't simulate by just standing somewhere and going. So I've seen a lot of good things. Obviously, you have your ups and downs in preseason. You feel really, really good for 3 or 4 days, even when they're dead sore, and then Friday, Saturday hits, and it's like, what just happened? Like, what is this team? And I think we bounced back quickly. We had a talk with them, and the girls actually took the initiative. We walked into the gym one day, and a drill we weren't doing good at, they were already doing it before we had been down into the gym. So you could tell, that leadership's headed in the right direction. Played against Indian Hills yesterday. Kind of touched some different areas. We talked to the girls and just high communication of, we're going to make that split a little earlier. It's not a permanent split as far as varsity and JV yet, but, we're only traveling so many people this week, so we're looking at a travel roster leading into this week. So, we looked at a lot of different lineups with those kids yesterday. Some very successful, some, you could still tell the freshmen were nervous playing in their first game, but nothing that we weren't, okay, that's going to come along. So really good. Excited to go see different competition because, even in the scrimmage setting, I'm still like, make mistakes, like try a set you wouldn't set in normal. This doesn't count right now. So, we worked on that and we had some ups and downs, and I think some people were, I was doing so much better at this, or I was doing so much better at this, and I told them, we just bounced back today at practice.
Yeah, it's okay to be a little frustrated with yourself. That means that you care, and obviously, and you're willing to work harder and everything. And hopefully, that they had a good practice, learning from what they did right and what they did wrong yesterday. So great. Let's get into talk about last year, I guess, briefly, and then we can talk about this year. But last year, you guys right there on the cusp of pulling off some wins in the league. Didn't come about as many as you'd have liked overall, but kind of just quickly, review last year.
I think last year was a lot of inconsistencies. That's the main thing. One hitter would show up this night, one hitter would show up the next night. I think we had a lot of team issues, maybe too. Not necessarily having a strong culture. I think it was definitely divided and that type of stuff. And I think that part of it is I'm a very kind of hands-off coach when it comes to what happens behind the scenes. Because I really don't try to get in their business and that type of stuff. But, with captain's trainings this off season, there was a lot of push of, you guys have to trust in me, and you have to have my back just as much as I have your back. So if something is truly an issue and it's affecting the team, like, that's when we have to either you can try and handle it yourself, but then it needs to come to me before it gets to where we were at last year. So that was a big thing about how things happened last year. We got very individualized during games, so this person would take everything on their back, and then they'd get frustrated, and had a couple injuries, towards the end. So I think we played some great matches last year that it was just those couple of points that, we crumbled under, and we played a couple of bad matches last year that we didn't even show up to. So that's going to be a huge focus and, for the girls.
Mm-hmm. All right, turn the page. Let's talk about 2017. A new crop of girls came in, good recruiting class it looks like, and you've got a lot of talent back. You guys really didn't graduate much, so
Nope.
as far as especially numbers wise. So let's break it down however you want to. I think position by position works, but I'm going to let you break it down however you want to.
So I think just like an overview of everything is, we got to be more specific on recruiting. We got to look more along. We have our people here. We have our different depths in our positions. Now we need to go get a couple kids who can really make a difference, and we also need to, add some more to the depth to make us just richer, if that's the right word. We didn't always have depth in those spots, so we kind of had to live or die by who was in the position. So that was a big focus, and I think we had a lot of surprises in preseason so far of, kids that, this is where we recruited them, but they showed up and brought a different game than what we were expecting. So going into the season, we're going to be young at points, we're going to be experienced at points. I think, going into this weekend, we definitely have a lot of returners on the floor, and that's only because 2 weeks isn't necessarily enough time to really get some of these freshmen who are still nervous and that type of stuff. I mean, definitely plan to get them in and kind of break that feeling of, college speed this weekend. But that's going to come with our returners really going out there and executing and getting us, a big enough lead or, doing the job so that we can not put them in such a high risk, high pressure situation. Right. So, that's kind of the game plan for this weekend. I think just as easily as, we could go 4-0 this weekend because we showed up and we were consistent and we got the job done, we could go 0-4. And I think obviously that's not the plan. I want to go in and I want to win every single game, but, we're in a position where consistency and execution and just doing things with a purpose, that's our word, is purpose. That's going to be what really gives us our outcome of this coming weekend. So as far as recruiting went this year, we have a lot of depth on the outside now. We're returning Claire. She's technically a junior, but, academically she's a senior, so this is her last year. So it's going to be, I think she's got that all or nothing attitude, where she's put so much on her plate, and she knows that it's time to change that mindset, and this is it, and it's got to be trust the process, and I'm going to get my job done. We brought in transfer Jordan Carter. Came from Marshalltown. I think, experience-wise, that's going to be one of our first quick fixes because, she has the experience and she's gelling with the team. Very calm and cool kid. So she doesn't really let the ups and downs show. She gets frustrated, but it's a good frustration of I'm going to fix this, not a, I don't want to mess up again. So that's a very good thing to have, with her on the court and stuff. And I think her leadership skills and her opening up more is going to come as we, get started on the season. And then we have 2 freshmen right now for sure that are looking to kind of emerge and be that, right behind them, and honestly have every ounce of athleticism to even push those 2 and go for some playing time. And that's BB Jacquez and Cass, one of my Hawaiian girls, and of course I don't know how to pronounce all their names right now, and Cass on the outside too, so 2 freshmen who have been working really hard and give us that depth. In the middle, 2 returners, Kiera Davis, she was more on the outside last year. In spring ball we moved her to the middle. she's too fast twitch to sit and wait for a ball. So go block, kid. You got high hops, all that type of stuff, and we're really working on her IQ and execution. Nez is coming back in the middle, same thing. Told her we gotta really dial in and start making some changes that work and are more consistent. And then we have our freshman Nashali Cruz coming from Puerto Rico. So again, you can kind of see her potential has shown, but I think it's just kind of getting used to the team. She's a very confident kid, so that's great. It's just how we run things and how is she gonna find that. On the right side, we're pretty deep too. We have Carissa returning. We have Lex coming off of a little hip surgery last year, so both are doing well. Both are still kind of working through, their little hurdles from last year. Then we have a transfer, Shelby, coming in, and then another freshman, Kiana, who is definitely showing potential, but doing the freshman thing.
Yeah.
Defense, real solid. Obviously, that was one of our go-tos and our strongest suits last year. So, Bam, Ashley Miller, returning in the libero spot. Definitely seeing the leadership skills of that kid just bloom all summer long. I mean, we had a handful of girls here over summer, and they were in the gym working hard, and I think that really set the tone for where we were headed, this year. Then we have Haley Vamprin, we have Casey Gakusana, and then we have between Britt Weichel and Belle Potter kind of playing with that next spot. So definitely have a lot more depth. Setting position, we got Haley Smith coming back, and then between Caitlin Crothers and Katie Jameson and T, our new freshman coming in, we're definitely still gonna try and figure out. In my gut, I want a 5-1. I know there's more consistency to that, but right now, if a 6-2 is the best option we have, then we're gonna go through that. So this weekend's gonna be great for learning.
Yeah, figure out where you're at for sure. Like you said, you started this weekend. Huntington over in Indiana, 4 matches, and then immediately you got another 3 next week, all at home. So great for you guys that to get right at home and get those home jitters, I guess, just gone for especially the new players and such. But talk about your schedule a little bit. It's a different conference schedule, more conference matches, but in the same respect, I guess it adds a little more emphasis to the conference season, but at least you guys aren't playing a full double round robin and just tons and tons of conference matches. But that respect, a little more consistency, I guess, with who you're going to see and such. But talk about the schedule just a little bit.
Okay, so the schedule, which was a very big back and forth battle in our conference.
Sure. I'm sure.
There was a couple people who want to play everybody once, a couple people who wanted to do what we're doing, and basically nobody wanted to do the double round robin, which I obviously agree with because our whole season, with as big of a conference we have, would be the whole season. So split north and south, just like some of the other teams. And what we do is home and away with our conference or our division, and then one time either home or away with the other division.
And then the standings all go together in the end.
Yeah, and then we came up with some how we're going to divide that, which that was kind of the big thing was how are we going to find equalness. So coming from the 2 conferences that I coached in before I got here, we actually did do the home and away stuff, and I love that. To be honest, we can play a team at their place, and then we can turn around and we get them at home, we get to watch film, we get to make adjustments. So to me, I love that because you can always go back and try and beat a team. When we play everybody once, it's kind of get prepared the best you can, but if you're on, you're off, that type of thing. So I'm excited for how the conference is going to run. Again, if we had less, I'd love to play everybody twice. If we had less in our conference. We have 3 tournaments set up, and then I think a handful of non-conference games. So we have a nice schedule as far as home and away versus in the past where we've been home a couple and then on the road for 10 games, and then home a couple and on the road for 10 games. So I think the girls are going to adjust to it well. And again, being home is different than being on the road, and I think hopefully we'll gain that momentum at home to take the on the road games a little a little more to our advantage. So.
Definitely. Conference-wise, you said in the past that it feels, in your mind at least, that it's a split. You got your top 7, you got your bottom 7, but where does William Penn figure in that mix? I mean, I know you basically in your mind, yeah, you could be a team that gets all the way up to 8th, and depending on which team shows up, it could be on the other end of the spectrum. But I guess 2-part question: where do you figure you guys are going to fit in? And then the final question of keys to success.
Okay. So where do we fit in? My goal, and obviously the same as my goal last year, is I want to be in the conference tournament. Yeah. Top 10 teams make it into the conference tournament. So, bottom line goal is 10th place. Yeah. And I think that's very doable. When I look at our schedule and I look at how people have recruited and that type of stuff, I think we're very, split top heavy and bottom heavy. Mm-hmm. And not even that, it's not like the old top 3 are amazing, middle pack beats up on each other, and you got bad bottom teams. Right. I really think we have a bottom half that is going to be anybody's game. I think, you've seen the top half get really good, mm-hmm. and you've competed against them, and you know what it takes, and you start pulling a couple wins here and a couple wins there, and then the bottom's going to, go back and forth, and it's going to be anybody's night. And I think that's where the girls have to really understand. And we've talked about schedules, and we've talked about stats, and we've talked about, every game is a different game. But the girls have to know when we're in games that we're supposed to be in control of, that's where we really have to take control. And when we're in games we're not in control of, we better be playing our best game and competing and fixing things. So if we can execute, certain things as the top 3 teams, we should be able to execute and handle, when we're competing with the rest of our conference. So again, top or bottom line goal, 10. If we get higher, great. Like, I want to push for as high as we can get, but I want to be in the conference tournament. What place that puts us in is, I guess, 10 at the lowest. But it's going to be tough. I mean, going around and seeing who's ranked and talking about who brought in who and what's going to have this. I mean, you could see someone, there's a couple new coaches last year. You can see someone who came in and last year maybe didn't have the best year, but went out and recruited, and they might jump. They might jump 5, 6, 7 spots. So
it's all on paper right now.
So it's all on paper. So it's going to be interesting to see how this conference goes. I think everyone's going to be really solid in my mind as far as competing with each other. So my hope is that you just see our conference go all over the place, and it's anybody's night. Mm-hmm. So keys for us: closing a block. We have a great defense, and if we can put our defense in its most successful position, hence closing a block and being able to read 2 options instead of courts wide open, that's going to be huge for us. Mm-hmm. And then I think scoring when we're supposed to score. Serving's going to be huge. As long as we're in control there and we can keep teams out of system, that's going to help us. Yeah, we're a little undersized. I mean, when the coaches are the tallest people on the team, we got to work on that. But being in control and high communication. Yeah.
All right, Coach. Well, you guys have, again, Huntington this weekend. So if you're over in Indiana, check out Coach Carlson and the ladies. They have 2 matches on Friday and 2 matches on Saturday. There will be live stats. It's on statesmanathletics.com. The links are there. Then also next Tuesday, correct?
Yep.
Tuesday, the first home match against Grace, Nebraska. And then we have a triangular hosting Benedictine conference match already on the 25th, next Friday, along with Cardinal Stretch will also be here. So Friday night will be a full docket of volleyball in Penn Gymnasium, which will have new lights and everything, and we're very excited. So, again, best of luck, Coach.
Thanks.
Go get a whole bunch of wins out there.
Yeah.
All right, great, thanks.